All right, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, denizens, trolls, whoever happens to watch this show, welcome to Uffsides, the NFL show that everybody has to watch if they want to know what's going on in the Shield.
Do people call it the Shield?
Nobody with
that'd be real weird.
Nobody with the brain working says the Shield.
No.
Dan Rubenstein, people are familiar with your face.
I hope so.
We do this on-screen thing all the time.
Yep.
Talking about animated GIFs, talking about tacos. We rarely talk about the NFL.
True.
Certainly not on this show.
And now it's May.
Yeah.
So why not?
So welcome. We're having you on the show because you went to the NFLPA rookie premiere.
Correct.
And go ahead and run me through you. 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, 3 or 4 days.
What's the purpose of it? What did you get to do? Tell me about you, because you had all sorts of access.
Yeah, so we as SB Nation are media partners, I suppose, with the NFLPA. Or they have granted us access to film and document what's going on. Basically, the rookie premiere is they invite 38, 40, somewhere in there, offensive skill rookies, guys that were just drafted, so they could learn about their brand.
Oh, people love talking about brands. That you start talking about a personal brand, and you have viewers hooked.
That's what it is, because they're partners there. You know, card companies like Topps and Panini. There's a card company called Panini. They basically bought up all the
delicious
Panini, and then EA Sports and Nike, all sorts of companies like that will have these guys as endorsers or have them as endorsers of their fine products. It's educating the rookies on what their own endorsing persona entails and what it means to endorse products and to not screw things up for who you are. As you know, don't F up. Don't, you can make money. Don't screw that up. So there are symposiums, and they were, getting their pictures taken by EA Sports and like 360s for the Madden game. All the new faces that are in the game.
Did they wear the ping pong balls and the green suits?
The motion suits. I didn't see that,
okay.
But they definitely have like a crazy tent with like cameras everywhere to get every single orifice. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, it gets real weird. But like they're all there, and they're getting swag from shoe companies and everything like that. And so they're making the rounds, and then they also actually take the preliminary pictures for their football cards at the Rose Bowl.
Ooh.
There are events there. They take them to movie screenings and restaurants, stuff like that. So it was aside from educating them, it seemed like a cool bonding experience before they get like the team PR talons all over them.
Yeah. So tell me what exactly you did.
Yeah.
Like what was your access to them day 1, day 2, day 3?
So we at SB Nation, we set up a mini studio inside the hotel. It wasn't in a hotel room. It was in like a conference area. That would have been weird.
Take a seat on the couch.
They do that for like those movie when actors go around for the movie.
Yeah, they get like a suite and then they set it up like a studio.
Right. So we had like a conference room. We set up a green screen for them to talk about Madden that we're going to put in later at SB Nation. And we also I did one-on-one interviews with 35 of these guys. And we did the one-on-one interviews, which will be trickling out over the course of the next few weeks at SB Nation.
Stay tuned. YouTube.com/SB Nation. SBNation.com/videos.
Brand.
Good plug.
And then we went to the Rose Bowl and shot them interviewing each other.
Oh, I was going to say you shot them?
We shot them. It's sort of a quick refresher course for life on the outside of college. No, but it was cool. And it's the big thing, the big takeaway for me was it's the last time these rookies aren't going to have those NFL team PR talents. Like, don't say anything interesting.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to one game at a time. We're just going to do what we do. Like, they're a very good team. This is the last time where they're still in the afterglow of being drafted and have personalities.
So who stuck out to you? Who's the first? Like, I think you said E.J. Manuel was your pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, well, he wasn't mine. I asked each of the rookies if they couldn't choose themselves or somebody on their own team, who they would pick. And they all went with E.J. Manuel, which actually makes sense. It's quarterback, which makes sense just because of the attention.
He's going to be playing most likely.
He's the most likely starter for Buffalo.
I mean, it's going to be tough to displace Tarvaris Jackson.
Listen, it always is. He's gonna play for every team. He's gonna get his passport stamped. But yeah, I mean, it's an offensive friendly coach, and Doug Marrone. It's very simple what he's running.
Yeah.
So a lot of people looked at E.J. Manuel's college career as some sort of a waste because he wasn't asked to take advantage of certain gifts, and it was just a very confusing offense. It's going to be a very basic offense for him. And he said as much in the interview with us, that it's much more simple, it's much more quick decision oriented, and he's got Robert Woods and Marquise Goodwin, so two really fast, talented young guys coming in with him, so added support. So
CJ Spiller.
A lot of speed on that team.
Yeah.
And Stevie
J.
Yeah.
Also a friend of the network.
Is he?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool. I like that.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We've talked to him before.
Nice.
Let's talk about who else?
A lot of personalities. So Quentin Patton.
Yeah, I've got him. He's the new 49er, of course.
New 49er, fourth-round pick from Louisiana Tech. A lot of polish. He's not the biggest, strongest, fastest guy, but he puts up huge numbers. He's a very crisp route runner. Anyway, he's like a ham. He's hilarious, and he was wearing grills in his mouth while doing our interviews. He was just hilarious, and we talked to him. Actually, there was a charity event at a school that emphasizes exercise and nutrition, whatever that means.
NFL Play 60.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it wasn't Play 60 because
Really?
that's NFL. This is NFLPA.
Oh.
So I think it was
Totally different.
Yeah, way different.
NFLPA Play 61.
Yeah. Play another minute.
Always gotta outdo the NFL.
But he was really funny, and like when we gave him the microphone at the Rose Bowl, there was like some sort of massage tent, and Landry Jones was chilling out with like a cooling ice pack over his eyes. He just jumped into his little mini cabana, and he wore his like the little eye black decals vertically.
Interesting.
They did that at his junior college. One of only two JUCO guys that were there.
Wow.
And they were both out of their minds in the best possible way.
Really?
Him and Cordero. I always said Corderell, but Cordero Patterson.
Cordero. Whoa, this is breaking news. We had like days and days of hearing the word Corderell.
Yeah, I had a whole season at Tennessee of calling him Corderell. But Cordero.
So not like corduroy.
No, unfortunately not.
Corduroys. I'm gonna start wearing corduroys.
Corduroys, yeah. He was wearing giant gold Ray-Bans with his uniform, which was nice, and everybody was calling him Hollywood. He and Christian Michael both freestyled on the Rose Bowl PA system.
Really?
Got a little bit raunchy.
There was you vined that. I saw that Christian Michael.
That was Christian Michael doing that. Another really funny extrovert. He was just a funny dude. But yeah, Patterson was out of control. He was, and again, the best possible way.
Really?
Yeah. New Vikings receiver. He's coming in replacing Percy Harvin, potentially as their go-to. Percy Harvin, new Seahawk. Yeah.
I'm giddy up.
Joining Christian Michael. So I'm trying to think of the other real big personalities. Vance McDonald looks like Thor. But
Vance McDonald, I've got
49ers tight end from Rice.
I was about to say 49ers tight end from Rice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
He was big and strong. Also something of note, because there were all these social events, you got to see the players' girlfriends and wives.
Ooh, let's dish. Who was
Tyler Wilson was doing pretty well.
Tyler Wilson.
Arkansas quarterback. Raiders.
Now Raider.
Went to Arkansas, so obviously SEC girls. You have a certain look there. Mm-hmm. Very petite, tan, blonde. Another one, Matt Barkley's lady friend, long time lady friend. I think she played college soccer at like the University of Puget Sound, Northwest, in the Northwest. Very tall and looked like Katrina Bowden.
Wow.
30 Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
The secretary. Yeah.
Well done, Matt Barkley.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And then seeing them all interact with family and friends. It was Terrence Williams, new Cowboys receiver, brought his friend, I forget his name, Tyler, possibly. I don't remember.
Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
And he had do you know what a ducktail is?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Like in the back? Everything shaved except for like the back bottom area.
Yeah.
I was not aware, and I was talking to him about it.
I'm like a couple of years older than you. That was a thing.
Really?
in the lesser. I didn't live in the greatest places growing up.
Right.
So
he was from Dallas. There was like a Dallas thing apparently.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah, it was also Oklahoma where I lived. Yeah, young kids have it.
Okay.
Most
weird.
Usually, when you get to adulthood,
right.
you can get past that. But it was like a kid thing.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, there were a couple local college guys who are now NFL players. Robert Woods, USC receiver, going to Buffalo. Very nice. Just like nice guy. I don't know how to describe it. Nothing like dynamic. He's not going to be hosting the Oscars.
Yeah.
But he was nice. And Jonathan Franklin, interesting dude, wants to be the mayor of LA.
Really?
Went to high school, went to UCLA, new Packers running back along with Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, they drafted two rookie running backs.
Who were both there. seemed at peace with the situation.
Really?
But
Well, I feel like they're different style runners.
different style runners. Jonathan Franklin, more wide open style, played
Yeah.
in the UCLA system where he was going out for passes and
Yeah.
not a third down back, but a 3 down back.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy's more the straight ahead.
power guy.
Yeah.
He's enormous. He looks like he's 43.
Oh my gosh.
Very nice, very, very kind, but just looks like his torso was like two of these TVs. It was not okay. And then they're all wearing their uniforms at the Rose Bowl for the first time. They're full uniforms. So just running around with them, they're all just gigantic.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so who did not impress you? You can go ahead. Who was super dull?
Tyler Eifert was relatively dull, not in like a bad way, but when you're interviewing somebody, you want there to be some glow of personality or
Yeah.
something like that. And he was very measured, and maybe it was because he went to Notre Dame and had a ton of spotlight on him in college.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just because they were tired. Maybe it was weird atmosphere. He'd never been out in LA or something like that.
Yeah. Cincinnati Bengal now, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
Does not have to worry about media exposure. And they already have a tight end in Jermaine Gresham, so
Yeah.
he's not going to be like the star, has to like be the
Yeah.
star right away. Stephon Taylor, a little quieter, but apparently he has like an alter ego that I didn't know about.
And like Batman?
Like he has an alter ego where he puts on like white stunners and he's like becomes Kubalani. Yeah, that's like a thing. New Arizona Cardinals running back, went to Stanford, really bright.
Can we get Kubalani, please?
I would love to. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't do the necessary research. I was looking like at his stats and like storylines and everything like that. Did not see the Kubalani stuff. But very, very wise, very smart. He's going back to Stanford like right after this thing to finish out his like something engineering degree.
Stanford players, man.
Yeah. No, he's set. I mean, he doesn't have like the
Peter King's gonna lap that up.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And he's going to the Cardinals, who I want to say they drafted another running back as well.
Let's see what we got here. I got my notes that are in no way organized.
Right. I'm trying to think. Cardinals running backs. You had Stephon Taylor. What's his name from Clemson?
This is organized alphabetically by last name. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He was there, and he was a nice guy.
Clemson. Andre Ellington.
There it is, right there.
There we go.
Another nice guy. One of two Clemson players who were there. It was good. The SEC players were a little quieter, but I had a good time.
Manti Te'o was there. Did you get any access to him?
Did not. And not because it was like off guards or something like that. It was because Notre Dame's graduation was Saturday, which was when the Rose Bowl thing was happening. So he did like the Rose Bowl thing on Friday, which is when we were doing the one-on-one interviews.
Okay.
So Eifert also went, but I guess he was there in the morning, so we got Eifert. But
sorry, go please.
no,
finish.
that was it. And he seemed like he was having a good time. He didn't seem shy and reserved. He seemed to get along with the players well. It didn't seem like they were giving a bunch of crap or anything like that.
That's good.
So seemed to be fitting in well.
The other defensive player that was there was Deion Jordan.
Yes.
Formerly on Uffsides, made for the most boring episode in Uffsides history.
Wow.
But I mean, it was 2 days before the draft.
Right.
He was like in say nothing mode
Right.
because he had stood a lot to lose and nothing to gain by
Right.
being here. So a duck, of course. Did you relate with him well?
Related with him well. I wouldn't say he wasn't boring necessarily, but more reserved guy. And a lot of these guys, they're football players. They're not like talk show hosts. Because we know talk show hosts. Beacon of personality. No, he was a nice guy. He was in a sea of offensive players, and when we interviewed him, he had a funny line because I asked him, because he played in the 3-4 in college, where he stood up and also dropped into coverage, and now he's going to be playing 4-3 with his hand on the ground. I asked him the difference. He's like, it's great. All I have to worry about is going in a straight line and going after the quarterback. Easy for me, because he doesn't have to worry about dropping into coverage anymore. So he's just like, yeah, Tom Brady, that's who I'm supposed to go after. Like, whoever is on the Jets, that's who I'm going after. EJ Manuel, yeah, seems like a nice guy. I'm going to take him down.
I like that's the Jets quarterback. Whoever's going to be on the Jets.
Remember in like Tecmo Super Bowl when they wouldn't give the rights to their name? Like
Jets QB number 1.
Right. QB Eagles,
Yeah.
like Randall Cunningham didn't sign off. And I think that was part of NFL Players Inc., like the branding thing that they were doing out there. That's who the Jets quarterback is. QB Jets 8.
There's a great Simpsons line where it's Dredrick Tatum versus Homer Simpson. Homer Simpson, nice guy. I'm going to make orphans of his children.
That's exactly. Deion Jordan didn't have the inflection, the hilarious inflection, but he's large.
Oh, yeah.
He was in here. He was wearing like a tracksuit. Big guy.
Yeah.
In a uniform?
Oh, yeah.
way big. I don't know how we've been covering sports for many years, like way big.
I'm just gonna start interviewing guys in pads. That way, like in cleats and pads, so that I can feel like I'm kind of like in the same.
It'll help you.
Yeah.
It'll make you feel good. Tell me about your upbringing. Yeah.
I also feel like I should point out this happened off the record. One of the NFLPA rookie premier rookies.
Yeah.
Lost $500 on Hollywood Boulevard playing 3-card monty.
Yeah, he did. It's a he. That's your hint.
We can't talk about who it was, of course, because it's off the record. But man,
a lot of these guys hadn't. They're in college towns for 4 years. They have sort of a very narrow focus. The worldliness is not strong with a lot of these.
No.
Which is, listen, when I graduated college, my worldliness, I'm barely stronger than I was coming out of college.
So I want to know, though, how many times do you have to play a 3-card monty to lose $500? Was he just like doubling down? Was he like, this time I'm going to get it?
Here's what happened. And this was a story relayed to us through other means. But what happened apparently was Hollywood Boulevard's terrible.
Yes.
It's the worst place in LA to hang out. It's just like going to Times Square.
It's Times Square of LA.
Right. So it's a terrible place, and they have like all the superhero, like the fake superheroes
People
trying to shake you down.
Yeah.
So apparently, like down a street off of Hollywood, there was a 3-card monty game. And what happened was this gentleman started playing, and he won immediately because that's how they draw you in.
Obviously.
And then apparently he was winning and losing, and there were people that gathered around that started cheering him on and didn't realize that they were in on it.
And then the con.
Right, that they were in on it. So he would like go up a couple hundred, go down, and then like try to make up his money. And then at a certain point, this gentleman was down $500, and that was that.
Man.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Very embarrassed about it, but yeah, it happens.
I do like that it's such a cool point that like this is like the last chance that they have to be suckers, to be available as human beings before the NFL, their agent and their team of PR handlers like wipes any sort of personality away from them.
Right. No, it's interesting, and I experienced this sort of thing when I covered the Elite 11, which is like the best high school quarterbacks that are about to be top college quarterbacks. They all go to a camp. It's funny seeing them all laid out and like, oh, one of you is going to flunk out of school. One of you is going to get in a fight and get kicked out of school. One of you is going to, like, there's always, because the percentages don't lie. So, like, last year when we interviewed a bunch of them, we knew, like, oh, one of you is going to be a dum-dum. It turned out to be Justin Blackman. Hooray! And then it's interesting looking at them now going forward where they're still not necessarily pure, but getting a sense for their personality is like, oh, one of you is gonna do something really, really dumb.
Do they have like the scared straight guy come in? Like it's the failed former #1 draft pick be like, hey, don't make the mistakes that I did.
I don't think it was the failed former #1, but Herm Edwards speaks to the rookies.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a don't be a dumbass talk. So, and he feels like he'd
Does
be the
it involve
one.
like save your money, wear a condom, stuff like that?
Yeah. If you get a driver, call a cab.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Everybody else out there that has half a brain does the same thing. Call a cab if you're drunk. Get a friend who's not drinking, drive you home.
Yeah.
It's kind of a basic thing. So yeah, you have that kind of thing, but it's like that last opportunity before the NFL gets their claws.
Yeah.
But
who else we got? I want to know.
yeah, go through some names.
The Rams drafted 2 wide receivers, both from West Virginia, Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey.
Both somewhat quiet, but really fast because they're running around the Rose Bowl field. And you're like, oh, you can change directions without slowing down. And that's what is the difference between you and me and my friends.
Like that change of direction would snap my ankle.
Right. No, it snapped mine standing still. I had no control. Yeah, the hips are just out of control. And you get why they talk about hips because they now seem important.
Who do we think, because obviously some people listen, I personally love my fantasy football. What are some rookies that are going to have, like who do you think is going to have an impact offensively, like in stat-wise? Because I think Tavon Austin
is what what immediately came to mind because he's going to be filling multiple roles like he did at West Virginia. He'll be in the return game. Almost like a Percy Harvin type.
Yes.
Like he'll get some stuff out of the backfield.
That's the immediate comparison.
Right, and the Rams lose Amendola, so he steps in and has a role pretty quickly. And that seems like the dynamic playmaker thing was what the Rams were missing. Pretty good defense. Offensive line wasn't bad. Sam Bradford, if he can stay healthy, obviously an above-average quarterback. If he has that weapon, where open field type thing, you look at the last couple seasons where, oh, you're getting more speed out in the open and stuff like that. He seems like the name. I'm trying to think who else.
Well, we got, there's also the 2 running backs on the Packers, Jonathan Franklin versus Eddie Lacy.
Right.
Obviously, we're going to find out when it comes to camp who's going to get touches. But,
Right.
like, flipping the coin, who do you think?
I would struggle tackling Eddie Lacy at the goal line. I would.
He's going to be.
From what I could
He's going
tell.
to be the goal line touches
I could
guy.
imagine he could be a vulture down at the goal line. I hesitate with receivers because you don't see a lot of early impact at the receiver position in fantasy for fantasy purposes. But physically, Cordero Patterson appears to be NFL ready. Whereas like the smaller receivers that were there, Marquise Goodwin and stuff like that, who was more raw at Texas. I think he was like the third or fourth leading receiver on his team in college. So it's hard to imagine that he'll have like huge impact early on unless it's like in the return game or something like that.
Yeah.
At the running back position, I don't know who's in Arizona.
All right, I'm just gonna throw. We got Monte Ball for the Broncos.
That's going to be big because he comes from a very similar, like the zone blocking system and very physical system.
I
with
like
Wisconsin.
Monte Ball and like Noshawn Moreno's.
It is Monte. It's Monte.
Monte.
I got that clarification.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna imagine the French accent aigu over the first D.
His thing, what he talked about, which could be not a struggle, but a learning process, is Peyton Manning changes all the plays at the line.
That's right.
He makes all sorts of shifts, all sorts of different, changing assignments, changing routes, changing plays, essentially.
And also, Peyton Manning's the sort of guy who will get angry if you mess up.
Absolutely. No, he's 30 whatever, and he doesn't have a ton of time.
He doesn't want to get hit.
Don't screw this up. Doesn't want to get hit, but. The fact that Monte Ball is so successful coming out of Wisconsin in a very similar type system, in that zone blocking stuff, if he can pick up the various assignments, the blocking stuff, and the changes at the line and the vocabulary pretty quickly, that could be really interesting.
Who else we got? Le'Veon Bell for the Steelers. I like that. I like that pick a lot.
Trimmed down, played at like 250, 245,
Holy
250 last year. And not a short guy either.
No.
I mean, just like big dude. But one of the concerns about him was weight. And he like carried every single play for Michigan State last year.
I don't know the exact stats. I believe he got 60 carries a game.
Yeah, no, it was like there was like a 48 carry game.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous. So, but he trimmed down to like 230.
Okay.
So he cut down, and he's obviously the Steelers went by committee last year with Baldwin and Mendenhall and everything like that. He feels like for that type of system, I don't know if he's going to be a third down back, but he fits it really well. The Steelers have drafted and spent they've placed a lot of value in the offensive line in recent seasons in the draft. So. He feels like he could succeed. Maybe not the beginning of year one, but he could be a workhorse back by the end.
Who else we got? Niall Davis, who I am only mentioning because I like saying the word Niall Davis.
Chiefs is behind Jamal Charles, doesn't have the pressure, but coming off of a pretty bad injury a couple years ago, should blossom into at least 8 carries a game if they don't want to give Jamal Charles too much work.
Giovanni Bernard. Gio Bernard going to Cincinnati.
Really bright. A lot of interesting things to say. Older brother played for Oregon State. Is from Florida. Going to Cincinnati where the running back position, he should, I think, step in pretty quickly. It was Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis for a lot of last year. But really good. Had a bad injury a couple of years ago, but is a pretty complete back. And I think the first running back off the board. So he should step in pretty quickly.
Also, the Arizona Cardinals are a team that had 0 useful running backs last year.
Now they have 2.
They've got 2. Who do you think there between Andre Ellington and who was the other guy that we said?
Stephon Taylor. Stephon Taylor's more of a power, I think, option than Andre Ellington. Andre Ellington probably has the higher end speed, but if they're going to be running similar type power sets, I think Stephon Taylor's probably better built for that just because what they did under Harbaugh and then under Shaw. I think he's probably better built to immediately come in, but Ellington could be somebody that's used in a variety of different ways. I think Stephon Taylor is very specific power back type thing. Ellington, you could split him out maybe a little bit, return game. I think there's more versatility there.
Taking so many mental notes.
Take the notes. And Bernard, by the way, going back to Gio Bernard, Andy Dalton's really good. AJ Green is really good. Tight ends are really good. So they're balanced. So he could get he could have early success.
Now we're running out just a little bit of time right here, but I want to ask. You said they went to a movie premiere. Did you get to go as well?
I got to go. I didn't go see the movie because I was just hungry. It was Star Trek Into Darkness.
I got to go. I chose not to because I was hungry. Total Dan Rubenstein story.
Umami Burger is like up the street.
It's true.
It's really
true.
Good.
Yeah.
So we went and we just sort of shot them again with a camera. Walking in, they didn't seem overly enthusiastic about the prospect of Star Trek, but apparently some fell asleep for a certain amount of time and some didn't. We actually have a video on SB Nation of them reviewing the movie. But the funny thing to me was, and I don't know if it could be a racial thing.
Well, let's go ahead and press forward.
Matt Barkley was explaining a lot of this movie the next day. He was, at one point he said, no, that's Star Wars. And like he was like, do you know what this means? And like, we have no idea. And he was like, it's live long and prosper. So it was like him.
Matt Barkley explaining it to all everybody
That was
else.
my highlight. Yeah, he was, and they were giving, they meaning the majority of the players were giving Matt Barkley, Vance McDonald, Tyler Wilson. There were balls that were busted.
Okay.
But it was good. But Matt Barkley seemed to enjoy it.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, that is all for today. Sorry this wasn't a live episode. For those watching, thank you for waiting around and checking this video out.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we've got author and prominent writer Drew McGarry on the show. Yeah.
Deadspin?
Yeah.
What's the name of his new book?
The name of his new book is Someone Could Get Hurt.
And you've read it.
I've read it. It's excellent.
Hilarious.
Yes.
That's great.
Strongly recommended.
I'm going to read it.
Next week, we'll see you at the same time, which is usually
Midday
on Tuesdays. In the meantime, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.